mental illness has actually run in my family for quite a bit. And so it was something I've always known about, especially in the women on my mother's side specifically. So my mother is mentally ill, and so was my grandmother. And I kind of realized when I was about 14 or so that all these feelings I were having weren't something that a lot of folks were going through, and I realized that maybe I should be asking for help. And so it was things that were like feelings of guilt, even when I didn't really do anything wrong, now that I look back on it, or feelings of not feeling good enough. And that kind of has followed me for a really long time, which isn't great when you're like a creative person who doesn't have like boundaries between like what you do and like your self-worth. I was like 16 before I kind of mustered up the courage to go to the doctor. And I remember sitting in my doctor's office, and I couldn't even say the word depressed. I was saying, I've been feeling a little blue lately. And so it was a way of trying to like talk around it. And even though mental illness is something that many family members have gone through, I couldn't really talk about it. Like we didn't really talk about it much in our family. We just sort of knew of the occurrences or like the symptoms of it. Like, oh, my aunt like is in the hospital, or like, oh, my mother's having a bad time again. So my dad is someone who like won't take aspirin for any kind of pain. Like he really believes in the all natural organic route, which is great. But it was really difficult actually to talk to him about it. As someone who was young, who relied on my parents to guide me, and to have someone say, you know what, you should really like try not to be on antidepressants. Like that's not good for you. And I'm like, but at that point, it was the only thing really getting me out of bed. I felt like I couldn't really go to my parents. I didn't want to disappoint them. I think that at that point, that's what I was feeling. Like I didn't want to be someone who had all this opportunity. Like my parents are immigrants, and they've done so much, right, to sacrifice to come here to Canada and give me this opportunity to be like, not even a doctor. They didn't even ask me to do that. They didn't ask me to be a doctor or an engineer or a lawyer or anything. They just wanted me to be happy, and I couldn't do that for them. But luckily, my high school art teacher was someone who was really patient and really understanding about talking to me about things and allowing me to say the things I didn't really have the courage to say to anyone else. And I remember, it's like grade 12 now, feeling like shit, really not getting any assignments done at this point. And like my teachers had known me as like a good student, and like I was getting everything done, and I was a pretty good writer, so I took a lot of English classes, and of course that meant a lot of assignments had to be done, and I was missing deadlines now. I was slipping. We had this trip to New York, and I thought, okay, great, I just need to maybe have a change of scenery. I'll go to New York with all these other people I weren't really close with. And I just remember this overwhelming like heaviness, even though I was surrounded by like beautiful art and beautiful people, and I just felt like I was being stepped on. And it was at that point that I really felt like I couldn't do it anymore. Like it was just overwhelming sense of like, you're not good enough, you're wasting everyone's time, you'll never get out of school anyway, like why bother? Nothing you do matters. I knew like I just couldn't continue. So I went to my high school art teacher and I said, you know what, I don't think I can do this. And I think she recognized that call for help. She was like, okay, you stay here. I'm just gonna go grab us a cup of coffee or something, okay, and I'll be right back. But what she had done was actually go to guidance counselor and say, you know what, okay, no, this student needs help. And so I was really lucky. I think if it had been delayed any further, I probably would have followed through with something. I would have planned something. I wish I could say I knew exactly what it was that allowed me to kind of grasp onto something and try to get out of that hole. But I don't think it's anything that can be written down as step by step. It was just a lot of realizing for myself that I still had a lot that I wanted to do. And clearly my parents loved me, and like I wasn't wasting their time or anything like that. And I think it was also the heartbreak too. Because I had told my dad, I don't think I could do this anymore. And he said, then why? Why am I living? What's the point? I've done everything for you to be here. And that look in his face, like, is something I'll never forget. Because I don't want to hurt him, right? Like, I couldn't imagine the grief that my parents would feel if I had ever done something like that. Luckily, I've been better since when I was 17, 18. I think I kind of latched on to my work, to my career, and I kept doing things that brought me, as Marie Kondo said, brings me joy, sparks joy. For me, the more I stayed in school, the more I realized you can't just take every failure as a failure of your character, right? And so there were times where like I didn't make a great piece of work, or that piece of writing was garbage, and it doesn't mean that I was garbage. I couldn't equate the things I produce as a result of my character. And I think I had to learn how to set boundaries that way. Help is out there. Like, it's not perfect, but help is out there.